Hello everyone, and welcome back to NovaLogos Audio English. Today, we reach a beautiful milestone in Series 3. In our last chapter, we walked the harvest fields with Ruth. Now, we enter the sanctuary of the Lord at Shiloh. We meet a child who was a gift of prayer and grew to be the voice of a nation. We meet Samuel. Samuel's life represents a bridge, a transition from the chaotic time of the judges to the era of the kings. But before he was a leader or a prophet, he was a listener. Have you ever felt like you were living in a spiritual silence, wondering if God still speaks today? Have you ever missed a calling because there was too much noise in your life? Samuel's story is an invitation to silence. It teaches us that authority doesn't come from a loud voice, but from a quiet heart that knows how to hear. Today, we explore how a boy's simple response, "Speak, for your servant is listening," shaped the destiny of Israel. Section 1. The Call in the Dark. Samuel's journey began in the middle of the night. The lamp of God had not yet gone out, but the word of the Lord was rare in those days. In the first book of Samuel, chapter 3, verse 4, we see the moment of awakening. Then the Lord called to Samuel. He answered, "Here I am." Samuel didn't recognize the voice at first. He thought it was his mentor, Eli. It took 3 attempts and a wise teacher to help him realize that it was God who was calling. This tells us something profound. Hearing God is often a learned skill. It requires guidance and a heart that is already positioned to serve. Reflection. Are you listening for a thunderclap, or are you listening for a whisper? God often calls us when we are at rest, in the quiet spaces between our busy tasks. Don't be discouraged if you don't recognize His voice immediately. Like Samuel, your "Here I am" is the first step toward a lifelong conversation. Section 2. The Shadow. The weight of difficult truths. The first message Samuel received from God was not a pleasant one. It was a word of judgment against Eli's house. From the first book of Samuel, chapter 3, verse 18, we see the shadow of his calling. Samuel told him everything and hid nothing from him. This is the shadow of the prophetic life, the burden of speaking the truth, even when it's painful. Samuel loved Eli, but he had to be faithful to the word he had heard. As he grew, the shadow changed. He faced the heartbreak of a people who rejected God's direct rule and demanded a human king. Samuel had to navigate the disappointment of King Saul's failure and the long wait for David. His shadow was the loneliness of being a bridge between what is and what God intends. Mirroring our lives. We all face moments where the truth is uncomfortable. We may have to give a difficult correction or stand by a principle that makes us unpopular. Samuel teaches us that integrity means hiding nothing of the truth, even when our hearts are heavy. Being a listener means you must also be a speaker of the truth you have heard. Section 3. The Light. Not one word fallen. As Samuel grew, his reputation as a man of God became unshakable. The light of his life was his absolute consistency. In the first book of Samuel, chapter 3, verse 19, we find a remarkable testimony. Samuel grew up, and the Lord was with him, not permitting any word of his to go unfulfilled. Literally, the text says, God did not let any of his words fall to the ground. This is the ultimate light for any person of faith, that our words and actions carry the weight of God's authority. Samuel anointed the first 2 kings of Israel. He provided spiritual stability for decades. He proved that a life dedicated to listening becomes a life that others stop to listen to. The light of Samuel is the power of a life that is all in for God's purposes. The light of impact. What would happen if we were so careful with our listening that our words became unfailing? Samuel's light teaches us that when we prioritize God's voice, our own influence grows naturally. You don't have to shout to be heard if the Creator is standing behind your words. Section 4. Bridge to the present. Practicing the silence. How can Samuel's listening heart guide us in a noisy world? 1. Create a sanctuary of silence. Find 10 minutes a day to sit without your phone or music. Just say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." 2. Listen before you lead. Samuel didn't move until he heard from God. In your career or family, make listening your first act of leadership. 3. Be faithful with the message. Whether the news is good or bad, be a person of integrity. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Section 5. Language Clinic. Expressing availability and consistency. To help you describe your spiritual openness and the impact of your words, let's look at these English patterns. 1. Speak, for your servant is listening. This is the gold standard for spiritual receptivity. It uses the word for as a conjunction meaning because. Example, I stayed home, for I was feeling tired. Spiritual use. It shows a humble heart that is ready to obey even before the command is given. It's the ultimate prayer of a disciple. 2. Let no word fall to the ground. This is a powerful idiom for reliability and fulfillment. 2. Fall to the ground means to be wasted, ignored, or unfulfilled. Example, I hope my advice doesn't fall to the ground. Spiritual use. It shows a humble heart that is ready to obey even before the command is given. It's the ultimate prayer of a disciple. 3. The word of the Lord was rare. This describes a period of spiritual drought or lack of guidance. Example, true leadership in this industry is rare these days. Spiritual use. It emphasizes the importance of a single person who is willing to listen. When guidance is scarce, one person's yes becomes a light for everyone. Consolidation and review. Key phrases for your journey. 1. Speak, for your servant is listening. This is the foundational prayer of openness. It positions the soul as a humble student rather than a demanding petitioner, creating the space for divine guidance to enter. 2. The Lord was with him. This is the recurring promise seen in the lives of the great figures of faith. It signifies that success is not based on human talent, but on the constant, guiding presence of the divine. 3. Not permitting any word to go unfulfilled. This reflects the highest level of integrity and spiritual authority. It suggests that when a person's heart is perfectly aligned with the truth, their influence becomes permanent and effective. 4. The lamp of God had not yet gone out. This phrase offers hope during dark times. It serves as a reminder that even when things look bleak, the spark of sacred presence is still active and waiting for someone to respond. 5. Hide nothing from me. This represents the courage required for radical honesty. It emphasizes that true growth and justice can only happen when we are willing to face the full reality of our situation. 6. Here I am, the simple recurring answer of the prophets. It expresses immediate availability and a willingness to be interrupted by a higher calling at any moment. Closing. Speak, Lord. Thank you for joining us for Chapter 10. Samuel reminds us that the greatest thing you can do for the world is to listen to God in the secret place. The words you hear in the dark will become a light for many. Don't let the noise of the world drown out the whisper of the Spirit. In Chapter 11, we will meet the most famous king of all, David. We will see how the man after God's own heart moved from the shepherd's field to the throne, and how he found grace even in his deepest failures. If the story of Samuel and his listening heart has been a blessing to you, please like this video and subscribe to NovaLogos Audio English. Your support helps us share these portraits of faith with seekers around the world. Hit the notification bell so you can hear the next chapter. Until we meet again, stay silent and stay listening. Goodbye.